Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Winging It F1 podcast. This is our sort of mid-race edition in between that kind of spicy race in Mugello and maybe a good race in Sochi.
Maybe.
No, not a good race in Sochi. So I'm Freddie Coates, and I'm here with Adam Dickinson and Nigel Chu to talk you through some talking points that have arisen from the latest triple header, from the latest races, and from the just F1 news in general over the past few days. And yeah, let's get stuck in. How are you guys? You doing good?
Yeah.
Very good, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm installed in Sheffield now, so
Nice.
the new backdrop, and I'm able to do it indoors, which is good. As
That does help.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're not going to get rained on this time. Nigel, what about you? Any positivity in your life? Not that it's always negative.
I don't know. Yeah, I went to Sheffield a few days ago.
And left.
And then I
Came back.
Yes. Yeah.
Fair enough. So yeah. Cool. So the big kind of news story that sort of come out after Mugello, which is what we're going to touch on first, is a sort of gatekeeping of F1 by the teams. You've got to pay 200 million euros now to become a team. Nigel, would you want to explain this little nugget of news?
Yes. So, if you want to go into F1 as a new team, you've got to pay 200 million. Well, this 200 million goes to the current teams. So, not only is it more expensive than, say, Williams, they were bought for what, 150, 140, wasn't it? So it's a lot cheaper just to buy out a team than it is to make a completely new team. Plus, you're going to give a financial advantage to the rest of the teams on the current grid. So essentially, I think the idea behind it, albeit a little bit silly in my opinion, is that they're going to guarantee that the current 10 teams will stay in F1 for the next 5-6 years till 2026. But it means that it's highly unlikely we're going to see any new teams in F1, which I think is not a good thing, because I think something F1 lacks is that we need more cars on the grid, because there's so much talent out there in F2, so much talent on the current F1 grid, and if someone, say like Sergio Perez, doesn't have a seat for next year, then that's a big problem. So we do need more cars so we can have more young drivers and stuff on the grid. As I say, I think 24 or 26 would be the right number. But yeah, 200 million to make a new team it's too high, quite frankly.
Yeah, Adam, do you think it's sort of born out of teams like Haas coming in and then immediately the year later, Manor not being able to fund the grid because they're 11th in the championship rather than 10th? Do you think it comes out of something like that?
I'm kind of torn on whether or not it is a good thing, but I think it's probably before the Concord Agreement was signed, there was kind of rumours of Haas pulling out or whatever, and I feel like it kind of might have been something they pushed, and possibly another team like Williams or McLaren pushing to get, and kind of say, if we need to get stuff from this agreement, this is what we want out of it. So I think it might be kind of born out of that, of those teams wanting to have that in place to benefit them financially and help them stay. I think it does obviously make it harder for teams to join, but on the flip side, we've only had one team join since 2016, or Haas joined in 2016. They were the last to join anyway, and given the current situation, I don't know how many teams would have been queuing up to join even if this hadn't been in place. So I don't know how big an effect it will actually have. It will take out kind of chances, independents, plucky underdogs coming in. I think it will take out that. But it is, just another barrier to entry in the sport.
F1 is essentially saying we don't want any new teams. And my question is, why? Why do they not want any more new teams? I don't really get that.
I kind of read this as they're saying we'd rather, I don't know, like rather consolidate having the teams on the grid already and keep them sweet than
That's dangerous, I think.
than
Because
run the chance of getting other teams when, as we've seen, there's not many companies, manufacturers, individuals, whatever, wanting to come into F1 anyway.
yeah, I'm not a fan of that because I think it gives the teams too much power. I really do. And, you know, as we've seen over the last 10, 15 years, the teams have gained more and more power. So I'm really not a big fan.
It's been widely spoken that the worst thing about F1 management is the fact that the teams have to have unanimity on a piece of ruling, on a rule that's got to come in. And so that's why we haven't had any sort of different race formats this year, because Mercedes, fair enough, rightly so, said, no, we don't want to do that because we've made the best car and we've done that to win. We don't want to be put at the back because we've made the best car. And because 9 out of 10 said, yes, that's not going to go forward. So do you think this is a way to sort of soften up the teams to say, well, give us this concession and then we'll give you potentially some money down the line? Maybe you might get 20 million quid.
I'm not sure. It's a good deal. Yeah, go on, Adam.
It's also just worth mentioning, I think they have said it can be amended or changed in kind of based on the situation. So I do kind of wonder, well, I wonder whether it'll actually come up anyway, because will any teams join before the next Concord agreement? But also, if, you know, there was a major manufacturer wanting to join, would they kind of waive this or reduce it a lot to try and get them in, or would the FIA be kind of putting pressure on teams to do that?
I mean, there's not much leeway given to new manufacturers. I think there was so many meetings on power unit regulations and stuff in about 2018, early 2019 kind of time. Porsche attended all those meetings. I think Audi went to a few as well. And, you know, nothing since. We're not going to do it because of the lack of compromise from teams on the power unit regulations. But now then they've said, okay, basically now they've said you've now got to pay, on top of a potential that you've got to pay an entry fee of this to the teams, on top of an entry fee presumably to the F1 and the FIA as well, that teams have to pay every year. Then it's a bit, it comes across you're right, a bit like they're not trying to let any other teams into Formula One. Yeah, to preserve the F1 they've got rather than drop to 18 or 16 cars, which was a real threat in about 2014.
I think it could be a real threat in a few years, because say if Honda don't win a championship by, say, 2023, I think they could easily pull out, and then Red Bull might decide to pull the plug as well or something. Then you lose Tauri, and then it's just, there's a bit of a curveball. I could see that happening. And I'm not sure. It seems a bit strange.
I'd agree with that.
It's the opposite of what they should be doing. They should be enticing manufacturers. So, say if it was at 100 million, I think that'll be fine. That'll be quite good actually. But to go the opposite way, 200 million, and like I said, Williams was bought for like 140, 150. It doesn't really make any sense.
It does sound a bit bleak for the future F1, and it sort of takes us onto our next point kind of nicely about sort of buying an existing team, which is that Team INEOS, who are the famous cycling team as well.
Doing well in the Tour de France this year, aren't they, Adam?
They are a massive sponsor of Mercedes. If you look at the rear wing of Mercedes, it says INEOS on it, and the little red bit on the top as well. And so INEOS are rumoured to be seeking a 70% stake in the Mercedes Formula One team to turn it into Team INEOS Formula One team. Adam, do you want to take the lead on that? I
mean, Jim Ratcliffe, who owns INEOS, is absolutely loaded. He's the richest man in the UK, and probably until he brought INEOS Cycling, probably no one knew who he was, or very few people knew who he was. They're becoming more prominent now. They're a chemicals manufacturing firm. And as you say, they've got some involvement with Mercedes this year. I think it would be a shame. We don't know how concrete these rumours are. What the interest is like from Mercedes' end. I think Toto Wolff has downplayed it, but would he have downplayed it regardless of where they stood? I don't know. I think it would be a definite shame to lose Mercedes from the sport, but this is INEOS seem to want to be pushing their brands. I don't know how many people buy chemicals because they see it on the side of a bike or a car, but they seem to be pushing their brand and kind of weighing in, and they want to be associated with the best, and that's why they bought Team Sky, and that's why they're looking at Mercedes.
Yeah, there's you've got to take it with a pinch of salt because these rumours are sort of fueled from Eddie Jordan, and sometimes he's got his fingers in the right pies, and sometimes he's just completely off his rocker. What do you think, Nigel?
Lewis, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, at the moment, I think he must have said so. Mercedes, the team, 30% of it is owned by Toto Wolff, 60% is owned by Mercedes, and 10% was owned by Niki Lauda. But I think in a will, he's giving those shares back to Mercedes, so it's now 70% to Mercedes. So, yeah, I guess it kind of goes in line with the rumours that Mercedes might pull out, and I guess financially, given how much money they've gained since 2010 to 2020 with all the championships and success with Lewis Hamilton on board, I guess this is the right time to pull out, because if that success does come to an end, then they might start losing money rather than gaining money, I guess. So then they're always at their peak now, Mercedes, so it's the right time to sell out. But yeah, having INEOS on board, it'd be really weird having a team I guess it's kind of like Red Bull, I guess, but we're just used to having the Red Bull name. It'll be interesting to see if that happens, and I'm guessing they'll have the same people within the team anyway, so it's just more of a financial brand change, is it?
The quote from Eddie Jordan is, the ownership of the team is going to be taken over by Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS. The INEOS name is already on the side of the car, and they have this technological partnership, so it's a nice way out for Mercedes. The team will be called INEOS, but it will still be run from the factory in Brackley, and Mercedes will retain a 30% share. It will not be known as Mercedes anymore, and Toto Wolff will no longer be in charge. And so there's been so many rumours this year about Toto Wolff and about his future. He links with the Strolls and Aston Martin. He went on a little scooter ride with Lance Stroll at the weekend and an engineer, I can't remember who. And so there's lots of sort of links there for Wolff's future and links for Hamilton's future as well in Mercedes.
Yeah.
So it's an ongoing situation that is a little bit fishy with what they're saying PR-wise. I mean, no one's taking anything PR-wise literally at the moment. When Otmar Szafnauer goes, we've got our drivers, and then the next minute he says, yes, it's not the ones we said we had half an hour ago. And so you've got to raise a few. I guess
it begs the question, is this a reason why Hamilton hasn't signed a new contract yet? Because this is the latest Hamilton hasn't signed a contract. When he has signed when he signed for Mercedes or renewed his contract, he used to do it around the British Grand Prix, which was in July. But it's now September, only a couple of weeks away from October. So I wonder if this is perhaps one of the things that INEOS perhaps are saying, we don't want Toto Wolff, but we have to have Lewis Hamilton if we're going to buy the team or something like that.
I think Hamilton's been quite candid about sort of not wanting to sign such a lucrative contract at this sort of time. And he still is contracted, obviously, for until December. So he's got until then to renew his contract. Whether he's going to go down a route of what Senna did in 1993, where he was $1 million a race or something. I doubt it, but it's been such a weird year. They won't have been negotiating contracts from March till July. They'll have only started up again probably June, July-ish anyway. So I think even in the run of it would be quite late. He's probably got a few more things to be picky about than Valtteri Bottas could have been, who was desperate to get his contract signed as soon as, I would imagine. for 21. So I still think Hamilton will stay with the team, even if it would become INEOS or something. It's still the same team that's still going to be behind the car. And it was the Toto Wolff instilled environment of the team will remain because it's worked. Even if he's not in charge there, I think it would remain. And whether they
does INEOS like? So I don't know much about it. So it's to do with chemicals and stuff. Does that go against Hamilton's like morals? Because we know he's very environmentally, friendly and trying to drive that forward. Do you guys know anything about that? Or
I imagine it would. Yeah, I think when they took over Team Sky, there was a bit about that. I think Natalie Bennett, the leader of the Green Party in the UK, kind of tweeted something like, "Oh, cycling's meant to be an environmentally healthy thing," and they're associating with that. And I think part of it might have been trying to associate themselves with a more healthy thing, like a green team thing. So yeah, I imagine that could well be something that Hamilton would go against. Whether he based a contract on it, I think he could, to be fair. But
with the way he's speaking out and stuff this year, being very vocal about Black Lives Matter and the environment, climate change and stuff like that, it's possible. So there could be a lot going on at Mercedes.
Yes. I was just looking up some stuff about INEOS's environmental record, but there seems to be not really much you can easily access on it. It seems to be a few sort of more headlines than stats. You probably need to dig a bit deeper.
The same story. If they had a great environmental impact, they'd probably be shouting that from the roof.
Yeah, that's a great point to make. So we touched on the quality of the grid when we were talking about the sort of entry fee and talent across the grid. And that leads us on to a sort of the driver market conversation. Obviously, the big news last weekend was that Sebastian Vettel's going to Aston Martin in place of Checo Perez. And we're at risk of losing the talented Mexican from the Formula One grid unless he can get plucked up by Haas or Alfa. Really, that seems to be about it. One team that has been touted is McLaren's IndyCar project. What do we think is the most likely destination for Sergio Perez? Do we think IndyCar? Do we think the new hypercar WEC? Do we think staying on the Formula One grid? Because I'm currently thinking it's a little bit unlikely he'll stay on the grid.
Really?
I still think F1, and he's only 30, which kind of isn't that old. He's still. I'd say at that age he can afford to kind of spend a couple of years down the bottom of the grid, see where his options are after that. If another top team opens up, which it should do, and if it doesn't, he can go to IndyCar or WEC or whatever then, and do that. And I don't think it make that much difference. So I think F1, for the moment, for the next 1 or 2 years at least.
I would be very, very surprised if he isn't in F1 next year, given how reliable he is and the money he brings as well, which will really help a team like Haas. But if he wants, if money is more important to him, he'll probably stay in F1. But if he genuinely wants to race and be at the front and stuff like that, IndyCar is a possible destination. But I'd be shocked if he isn't in F1, to be honest, given what he brings with him. Red Bull's possible. It's probably the most unlikely for the F1 teams. It's probably just me dreaming. I would say Haas is the destination for him, but I would love to see him in IndyCar personally, just to see how he would get on. But I think he will stay in F1.
Yeah, he is an excellent driver, and he proves his worth majority of the weekends in Formula One to be qualifying ahead of the updated car that Stroll had in Tuscany. Is actually, that was a underlying very good performance. I mean, yes, of course, the Esteban Ocon spin completely ruins qualifying 3, but he was on the pace all weekend, pretty much, I'd say. He could really help a team like Haas. team who's been pretty much plodding along with the same driver lineup for 4 years now. It obviously hasn't helped them with stability in terms of surging back up the grid, because I mean, all the problems they had last year, all the documented problems of not being able to get the tyres to work, the aerodynamic stalling and everything, even with the experience of drivers of that car, still Roman Grosjean of the cars who finished dead last. Yeah, he had a crash on lap 1, but and Magnussen's qualified, I don't know how many times in the recent races he's qualified 20th, but it seems to be all of them in the past, like triple header or something like that. To my knowledge, he's qualified last. Yeah.
So weird. Really weird Magnussen season, because he started off really well, but in the last few races he's been beaten,
tilted down, and it seems to be this is when he should do it. And there are rumours coming around now that Haas are going to sort of enter a similar relationship with Ferrari to Alfa Romeo in terms of a FDA seat that Giovinazzi currently occupies at Alfa Romeo. Could this be the start of Haas Maserati?
Wow. That'll be good to have the Maserati name in F1.
I'm basing that, I should add, off Günther Steiner in an interview a couple of years ago, saying, we like Sauber Alfa Romeo. That sounds cool. We don't want to just be Haas Ferrari. We think it'd be cool to be Haas Maserati, something like that, or Maserati, something, I don't know.
Lamborghini.
Or Lamborghini, but the ownership completely messes up with that, I think. I don't know about the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I think there are rumblings going on for that kind of driver lineup to be taken by either an Ilott or a Schwartzman, with a Mick Schumacher basically being nailed on for Alfa Romeo, I think.
You know what would be interesting? What if Lundgaard wins the championship? That'll be...
What if? Yeah, exactly.
Because what would he do then? Would he... I would even put Lundgaard at Haas because he's Danish. I think Magnussen brings some Danish backing in the sponsorship. So if they replace him like for like, Haas might be able to keep the Danish like sponsors and stuff. But I personally, if I was Lundgaard, I would do another year in F2. But if he wins the championship, he can't. So that's a problem. It's just it's really complex, I guess, because the F2 champion can't do the next season.
It's like we're watching you work it out live. I think it's a really interesting situation. The F2 championship, we're going to talk about that for a bit now, is completely weird. You've got Mick Schumacher now. Mick Schumacher now leads it, despite having quite patchy results. But some good results. Ilott's in second with good and patchy results. But Ilott seems to have had the most pace across the year, which is interesting. And then, as you say, Lundgaard is in third in the championship, having had a really strong weekend at Mugello. He took feature race pole and only lost the race due to the kind of annoying way that Formula 2 works with the tyres. And then finally, so lost that out to Mazepin, who's actually been doing all right this year.
Cars of the year.
And then in the sprint race, he did get the win. And it seems to be to and fro all over the place.
Yeah, it is. It's so
it's weird that Schumacher, he kind of, I think before this triple header, he was kind of like the person, if it felt like he wasn't going to get a seat, or if they did, it'd be a massive kind of travesty, because he seemed to be just a bit off the leaders in the championship. And then he had, he's just come on really strong in Spa and Monza and got, 4 podiums across that. And now, he made an amazing start at Monza. It was like 7th to 2nd in basically the straight. It was incredible. Ilott seems to have been kind of better, had more pace, but I kind of feel like the amount of errors he's made, I don't think you can just put that down to luck. After a certain point, it's kind of like, I think, it does start to count against you a bit more.
Because jumping there, he also made errors before F2 in his junior career as well. So it's not just in F2 where he's done that. You can carry on.
Dropped his phone
well,
yesterday
that was
on the stream as well. That's a big error.
But yeah, that's kind of. I think it feels like they've been waiting for Schumacher to come good, and now he has. And there's only 3 rounds left of F2. Like if it feels like if they announce it now or soon, they could be like, oh yeah, he's the leader, so we're signing him and stuff. And then I don't know. I think it kind of felt like his position was going to be the biggest thing that counted against him, and now he's in the top position. I feel like they could just kind of cash in, get him in the seat now. But what do you think?
I think the big problem is that there's a 2-month gap between Sochi and the final rounds in Bahrain, because the 4 races in Bahrain, that a lot can change. So it's a tough thing for the Alpha or Haas or anyone else looking to pick up a junior driver. What do they do, I guess? Because I think the championship is going to go down to the last race or last 2 races in the Bahrain outer layout, which will be mad. And, given that the champion can't race next season, someone will almost have to take that champion and go to F1, but we don't know who the champion will be.
Well, Callum Ilott has said that he won't race in F2 next year.
Right,
He said it's too expensive to do so. And you'd think Ferrari would be the team placing him, being a driver academy.
I wonder if he's saying that though, just to put pressure on Ferrari.
Yeah, that could be taken,
possibly.
I think Ferrari would like that if he was.
Yeah.
Ferrari strike me as the kind of team who would like a bit of fire in their drivers, and that's why they like Schwartzman quite a lot, because he's comes in and does the job pretty well. I mean, yeah, his pace has been lacking a bit in some rounds, and in some rounds has been excellent. So it's a bit sporadic there. But when he's been on the pace, he's been really good, Schwartzman. And in his rookie year, that's a lot to be admired by. Same with Lundgaard, like you say.
Yeah, personally, I would say right now, promote Ilott and Schumacher. So Ilott to Schumacher to Alpha, and then give Schwartzman, Lundgaard, Tsunoda another year in F2 to see if one of them can dominate or something. Because
and then have Schwartzman, Schumacher, Alfa Romeo for the second year, and maybe
we'd have to see how Schwartzman gets on,
exactly.
wouldn't we? Yes, but it must be said this is Schwartzman's rookie year, and if we compare his rookie year compared to Mick Schumacher's rookie year, he's doing incredible. The 1 year difference in F2 makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Schwartzman is just lacking a little bit of pace at the moment. Tsunoda as well. He could go to AlphaTauri or something.
I was about to say that. I think if he gets his super license, they'd put him in, because you don't. I just kind of don't see how you gain anything from having Fiat in the sprint of the year. So yeah, I reckon they'd do that, and then that opens Fiat up potentially. Could he kind of go to Haas maybe or something like that? It's just a thought.
Haas have always kind of done their own thing with their drivers, haven't they? Even if they don't have this Ferrari link up, the other seat will. Even if they do even have this Ferrari link up, the other seat will still feel pretty wild card, to be honest. Because, like you say, Magnussen's season was good. Now isn't Grosjean's season wasn't good, and now kind of is. And it's a bit like, well, what's going on here with these 2 drivers? They're just a complete mess, really. to like what you want from the drivers, they're so sporadic, and it's a bit. When they come on song, they really do. But you'd want a driver who you can sort of nurture into a driver who can come on song a bit better all the time. And I think Kvyat's got a bit more of a consistent level. He got 7th in Mugello, which was really good, actually, to be honest. A really good performance. And he can put in sort of good drives. So
there's only 12 cars, wasn't there? So
yeah, but he was 9th or so, wasn't he, at the start when there was 18, 19 cars?
Yeah.
He gets overshadowed by Gasly either doing well or doing badly. That's kind of always the biggest storyline. Just quickly, if you were, say, Schumacher, and you had the choice of Haas or Alfa Romeo, now, making a decision now, what would you guys both go for?
Alfa Romeo.
Alfa, yeah.
I think I'll go for that as well.
I think Haas is a bit more independent but you'd feel a bit more comforted in your seat in Alfa Romeo.
I'd love to see Raikkonen and Schumacher, just because like having Raikkonen with like his son, that'll be something else. Yeah. But do you guys, are you thinking Ilott at Haas as well, or Schwartzman or Lundgaard? Yeah, if Lundgaard wins the championship, I'd have to put him at Haas. You know,
I think
if he
Lundgaard's
wins the
coming on strong,
championship,
isn't he? And I think you've really got to look at a late season surge in junior categories can really work wonders. That's what Schumacher is kind of a specialty. Looking back at his junior formula, is that he sort of does okay, then has a decent start to second season, which is kind of his European Formula 3 days as well, and then just launches it. And it's a bit weird, but I guess he's a driver who's been under pressure his entire life, and he's just good under pressure, whereas other drivers can crumble a bit more. So it'll be interesting to see who works under the pressure of this basically F1 spotlight now. And I think Schumacher is one who could really work there. I think Ilott, he's a little bit more tentative in the pressure, but when he's been leading races, he's done really well. And he's got the pace, and he just needs to think he's got the pace, because then he needs to sort of have a bit of confidence in his ability. I think he gets a bit shaky, probably, is what it looks like. And Lundgaard's he didn't do any testing in this car, and now he's third in the championship. Schwartzman, rookie year, fourth in the championship, only a few points.
Lundgaard's only 18 as well, and I think in his whole motorsport career so far, he's only done about 50 races, which is really not a lot, because the others would have done at least over 100. So for me, Lundgaard is the most talented out of like the lot. Yeah, and that's just me.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of if Lundgaard going into the last race, he hasn't, say he's not got a seat for next year in F1, does he, like, it's a situation where he's better off losing. He kind of isn't, like, it's a really weird thing, and it's what every sport tries to avoid. I feel like Lundgaard could.
It's the Vips conundrum.
I don't think he'll be in F1 next season, so I think either he wins the championship and loses out because he hasn't got a seat, or he doesn't win the championship and he, is able to compete next year. I think maybe I said it kind of a couple of times relating to Gasly or whoever, but maybe that Ocon Renault seat for 2022 could be one. Maybe possible, who knows? But yeah, I don't think he'll be on the grid. I don't think he'll be on the grid next year.
So you're both thinking Ilott, is it?
Yeah, Ilott Schumacher in place of Grosjean and Giovinazzi.
Yeah, I'll go for that as well.
What if Schwartzman wins the championship somehow?
Actually, I think
we won't know, Nigel. Stop saying what if. We don't know what's going to happen.
Like, that's a good thing. It's a
great thing. It's a really interesting championship. And Formula 2 has been just fantastic to watch this year. Also, we've had Formula 3 concluded this weekend, just gone, with a title fight that went into it with this level points for Oscar Piastri and Logan Sargent. Obviously, it's going to be an interesting step to see where those guys end up next. And Teo Porcher as well, who finished third in his rookie season in that championship as well. It's going to be really interesting to see where those drivers end up in a few years. But I don't think we're going to talk about that now, because we'll be stuck in another quagmire conversation for about a year. We can come back to them next year when they completely derail Lundgaard's easy year. I think we're going to have some quick fire questions quickly about this latest triple header. So Adam, who do you think was the best driver in the triple header?
Lewis.
Nigel?
Hamilton.
Are we making a story with one word? Gasly?
Yeah. But Spa and Monza performances.
Monza were great, yeah. I was going to say Hamilton. I think he's been cool under pressure for the whole thing, pretty much.
How can you not say him, innit? Like, it's just...
Well, partly because I wanted to make it interesting, so we all don't say Hamilton.
Bottas.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably is Hamilton, but switch it up a bit. I'll say.
Yeah, Ricardo.
Gasly won a race, man.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah,
And
Ricciardo didn't.
He was the driver of the day.
And he got closer.
Yeah.
But that
and then
Gasly performance, for me, it was like better than some of his other performances, say at Silverstone. Well, in fact, they might have even been better. It was just the circumstances. It's like Stroll. It's like Stroll at Monza. That wasn't his best performance of the year. Yes, he got a podium, but that wasn't his best performance, I think.
I'd say one of his best performances was Mugello.
You said Hamilton. You said Hamilton for your
Yeah,
answer.
I'm just saying.
It's quick fire, guys.
I
Let's
like
be
an
quick
argument.
with this fire. Worst driver. Nigel, you can go first.
Oh, gosh. Probably Giovinazzi, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, Magnussen's had 2 retirements out of 3, which isn't great, but yeah, I'll go with Giovinazzi.
Don't know who I'm going to go with.
Vettel's not been great.
Vettel's not been great, you're right.
Probably not.
Can't say Albon, can
Albon got his first podium. Stop dragging him through the mud. He's a lovely boy.
Wait to see how he goes over the next few races. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I'm stalling here. Nah. Yeah, Giovinazzi. What's Giovinazzi done?
Exactly.
Raikkonen's really had a good, strong form. He got Alfa Romeo into Q2 twice and he got points. Giovinazzi's not. He's got a nice
He's
helmet.
been on beyond the grid.
Has he?
I think that was recorded a few months ago.
He's a nice guy as well. Bless him.
Why do you always say the people who are doing bad are nice guys? I
They're
don't
lovely.
get
They're
everyone.
really nice.
Maybe he,
Giovinazzi's absolutely.
Then when
He's
Nico
a right.
Hulkenberg left last year, everyone's like, "Oh, what a nice guy!"
I don't think he was that nice a guy.
no, could be right.
I think Giovinazzi is a quality fella who unfortunately is not beating Raikkonen when he should do.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyone have any quick fire things quickly for the triple header? Any questions?
Best overtake.
Best overtake. That's hard. Naldo Norris around the outside of Bottas at De La Rocha chicane, I thought was pretty nice. I quite like that.
That was good, to be fair. I'll go Gasly on Perez at Eau Rouge.
Oh, yes.
It's a white knuckle ride to watch. I can't imagine how it would be to be in.
It's got to be that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I might rescind mine.
Best red flag.
The one at turn 6, I thought they waved that one really nicely. You asking us to name the best crash?
No, like the red flag that had the best impact on the race. I guess.
Oh, well, Monza.
Oh, yeah.
They all had impact on the race, really. Because drivers were out of the race.
The first one at Mugello did, because Bottas had got the restart, and it kind of, we don't know how it would have gone if
that's true.
If that hadn't happened, but he would have held the lead, and then who knows what happened. As it happened, he didn't. He held the lead for a corner, then it was a red flag, and then Lewis got him off the line, and that was that.
Okay, next one. Best tribute helmet livery.
The Ferrari livery.
Adam,
Yeah.
got to say something different.
I did really like the Ferrari livery. I'll go, since I can't have that, because apparently that's just been announced as a rule that we can't, even though everyone said Hamilton. I mean, the Vettel helmet was quite good, with the little kind of half and half cloth cap effect thing.
Now what's I going to do for mine? I was going to say Vettel's helmet.
Yeah, I'll go with that then.
I like Giovinazzi's helmet. Giovinazzi's kind of like blue mosaic helmet was nice. Next quick fire.
Pizza helmet.
Pizza, yeah, but it looked awful, but it was funny. It just made me hungry.
Yeah.
I could do the pizza. Nigel, what's your quick fire for us?
That's a brilliant question, Freddie.
Okay, so in the sort of gap, we had a bit of a gap where we were like, let's think of some quick fire. And I say, oh, how about best tribute helmet? Adam says, oh, I want to do the Ferrari livery, so can we make it livery as well? So I go, yes, okay. So Nigel says Ferrari livery, so he doesn't have to think. So this is now Nigel's turn to think.
Yeah.
Best moment.
This is quickfire. I like it. Putting someone on the spot to think of a question.
Yeah, best moment.
Best moment. Go away. Come up with a better one.
Oh no, go on, get an answer, quick.
Oh, the best moment.
Gasly winning.
Yeah.
Easy.
Oof.
Gasly's having the best day of his life.
What about... so I'm going to bring it back down to... I think when there was that big crash on Sunday at Mugello, when everyone got out, okay, there we go.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
No.
Nice and sweet.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Speaking of Mugello, do we think there should be do you think there should be sort of like a guest track entry kind of role? Because like it's kind of looking like it's going to be unlikely that the cameo tracks of 2020 are going to feature all the time, which is understandable. Do we think sort of a start of September, end of summer kind of wildcard like an Imola or a Mugello or a Turkey should be sort of considered for that kind of role?
I feel like it'd be fun, but there's two things. One is logistically, I don't know kind of how, just including, one track for 1 year. And then if the track does well, but then it's harder to actually include it on a permanent calendar because there's already one slot gone because of the wildcard thing. And can tracks repeat? Because eventually you're going to get to a stage where there's no tracks left in the entire world.
Presumably tracks can repeat because we have the same calendar every year normally.
Yeah, but then, or will you just get like one or like two tracks alternating the wild card every
5 years?
Yeah, and it kind of becomes, a bit repetitive. I think it'd be fun, but I think if we'd not had this season where it's basically a wildcard calendar anyway, then I'd kind of be
chopping at the bit. I would be.
Yeah, but kind of we've got that anyway, and as I say, it's kind of how that would lead on to more permanency. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I agree with Adam on this one. I think it'd be great, but it's just not very realistic, is it? With 1 year deals for tracks, I don't think they'll be very happy.
No, I think you're right.
I like the idea, but it's not probably that.
Like a wildcard team every year.
Yeah.
Someone puts all the money for a team and then goes racing and then just pulls out at the end of it.
Well, I mean, it's been known to happen in the past. So I think I'm going to come to the next final sort of newsy, rumoury bit before we come on to our traditional quiz. It's going to be, is Andy Cowell, the high performance powertrains Mercedes man of the decade, basically, engine guru, going to head up Aston Martin pretty much in place of Otmar Szafnauer? Nigel, I believe you've got a few things to say on this.
Yeah.
Maybe one thing.
Maybe one thing. I think it will be a great pickup from Aston to get someone of that calibre with that experience as well to join the team. And we've talked about the rumours of Adrian Newey perhaps going to Aston Martin, but yeah, Andy Cowell becoming team principal. The only thing about that is I'm not sure if it's the right role for him, because I'm not sure, is he a total Wolff figure or is he more of a technical person? I'm leaning towards the latter. And if he does replace Otmar... Huh?
Is he a Toto Wolff or is he a Mattia Binotto?
Polar opposites.
Wow. Yeah. But yeah, to replace Otmar Szafnauer would be an interesting move, because I think Szafnauer has done a good job at Racing Point in the last few years.
Yeah, there have been rumours of Adrian Newey being linked with the team as well. And it seems to be every rumour is leading towards a super team for Aston Martin. Do you have anything to say, Adam? What do you think is going to be the sort of destination outcome for this story?
I think it feels a bit like changing it for changing its sake. maybe, or kind of like, oh yeah, we want a big name in here who's been on a winning team. Let's get Vettel. Oh, and let's get someone from Mercedes as well. When actually, I don't know. I feel like Szafnauer does a good job. It's not broken. I don't think you need to fix it. So, but that said, I don't know enough about Andy Cowell to kind of know whether he'd be good at the job or not. But yeah, it to me it feels a bit unnecessary. But F1 isn't necessary. So who knows?
He did do quite a lot of on-site stuff with Mercedes up until around sort of 2015-16. Then he sort of retreated to a bit more of a factory role, which has helped with their other endeavours such as Formula E and stuff like that with powertrains that came in for this year with that. So he's a guy whose job at Mercedes has been split into 5 people. So he's clearly a decent guy and knows what he's doing. I think it would be interesting to see. Otmar Szafnauer's been a stalwart of that team, and now that team is running where it is, third in the constructors, I think. Might be 4th, based on a few other lucky results for others. So I think he's doing well there. I don't see any reason to drop him. I agree with Adam, really. It seems to be a bit for replacement's sake. But now we're moving on to the most interesting and most competitive moment of this podcast series that we have. It is Adam Dickinson versus Nigel Chew for the Gran Quizio Premio della Toscana Ferrari 1000. Yay. Which is a Ferrari quiz.
You can tell Freddie thought of the quiz title first and then worked outwards from there.
Yes. I don't know what quiz is in Italian.
Title.
Quiz in Italiano.
It must be said that I think me and Freddie are on 3 and Adam is on 2. So it's really close between.
Right, yeah.
I think I'm not 100%, but those are the series scores.
It must be said, yes. Yeah. And this is going to be a very interesting quiz while I find a pen to keep track of scores, because I normally am quite bad at that. Let's hope it's not a tie break. So, question 1. Normal rules apply. Just say your name like University Challenge. Don't say Sheffield. Who won? Who took Ferrari's first race win?
Adam. Ascari?
It was Alberto Ascari. Yes.
Woo! No idea. I have no idea.
He's a good guess. I mean, he took the majority. He took, like, of the first 15 wins, he took 14.
Oh.
So, question numero 2. What was the nickname, one of the nicknames for Enzo Ferrari? There are lots, but there's some famous ones. Adam?
The old man.
Yes, that's one of them. For
what?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to say, you can just say one of them, because if I said, what is this particular nickname from 1926 or something, that's going to be an awful question.
I don't know.
The old man is one of them. Does anyone know any others for fun?
In my head, I was thinking about something from The Godfather, like the Don, something like that.
Not on the card.
No.
He's known quite nicely in Italy as Il Ingegnere, which is the engineer, which is quite nice because he is just the engineer of Italy. He's basically goes the Pope, then Enzo Ferrari in terms of people in Italy.
Oh.
And then Silvio Berlusconi.
Ferrari wasn't engineered in a day.
And then also Il Commendatore, I don't know which way. But yeah, that's one of the famous ones too. This is a hard question.
This is a hard one. Oh, the first 2.
The first ones were kind of all right, I thought. Where did the prancing horse logo come from?
Nigel
Chew from Sheffield University.
Farm.
Not a farm?
Yeah.
Because of a horse?
Yeah. That's my answer.
No, it's not. You're right. Adam.
Unlucky.
Stable. Horse.
No. Did you both give up?
Yeah.
Do you want some
Do you want
clues?
Do you want
Yeah,
like the
clue,
story behind it, or just the like where? Yeah. What do you?
Where
kind of want?
Enzo Ferrari became aware of it?
Italy.
Piss off.
No,
So nil pois for this one. So Enzo Ferrari's brother fought in the Italian Air Force in World War One. Unfortunately, he was killed. But the best sort of flying ace of Italy was a guy called Francesco Baracca, and he had sort of the most sort of confirmed kills for any Italian fighter pilot, and he was a really cool flying dude. And Enzo Ferrari aspired to that. He liked that, but he wasn't a flyer, but he liked the sort of pace of it, and he had a horse on the side of his plane. So it's from fighter plane.
Is that your?
Audio listeners, I just did a prancing horse impression. Yes. So question 3 is nothing. So it probably won't be a tiebreaker unless you all get one wrong again as a group. Question 4. Which British driver was the last driver to be signed by Enzo Ferrari himself?
Adam.
Adam?
I'm wishing I hadn't spoken now. No, this has gone catastrophically wrong. Nigel Mansell, the dates are all wrong for this though, but I'll go with that because
It's correct. The dates
really?
are not wrong. He drove
That's
for
a-
Ferrari in
that's a
89 and
shout
90 and was signed in 1988, which is the year that Enzo Ferrari died.
Oh, I thought you went a bit later. And
No,
okay, I'm
he
pleased.
died then.
Okay.
That's a
Yeah,
great
so
answer.
the last year he saw was when McLaren won 15 out of 16 races.
So was he the last British driver to race for Ferrari then?
Depends on your opinion of Eddie Irvine.
Isn't he Irish?
Exactly, it depends on your opinion.
Oh, right.
Exactly. I think sometimes he raced under an Irish license, sometimes he was under a British license. It was a bit confusing. So yes.
Apologies to anyone who's offended by the Northern Ireland or Ireland.
Well, our Northern Irish contingent.
Yes, a massive Northern Irish contingent. We're not trying to replicate the care for you that the government has. Question 5. Who competed in the second most Grand Prix for Ferrari, with the first being taken as red, as Michael Schumacher? Nigel?
For Ferrari. Oh.
Yeah.
No. My answer was going to be Schumacher, but since you said it can't be, I'm going to have to go Barrichello.
No, it's not Barrichello. Adam.
Kimi Räikkönen
Is the correct answer.
I heard the question wrong because Schumacher's got the second most starts, hasn't he?
Did I say it wrong?
I was torn between Barrichello and Räikkönen, so your answer really helped ease that conundrum.
I think Barrichello's 5th on the list.
Räikkönen,
I was thinking like all time.
It goes Schumacher,
Oh,
all time Ferrari. So Schumacher, Räikkönen, Massa, Vettel, and then I think it's Barrichello.
Räikkönen's second. He's about 3 races off Barrichello's time Grand Prix starts record as well, and break that out. Or equal it at the Nürburgring and then break it.
Break it at Portugal, I think, depending on his how his starts go. So currently Adam is on 4, Nigel is on 0, but we have 5 questions left. He could bring it back. The pressure is well and truly still on. Question 6. Michael Schumacher famously broke his leg in the 1999 Formula One season at Silverstone. But who replaced him that year? I haven't finished the question. Who?
Mika Salo
is the correct answer.
Yeah.
Now, unless Nigel can go back in time and answer question 3, which no one answered, then he can. That's the end of the quiz, really. But we've got 5 more questions for Pride. No, we don't. 4 more questions for Pride. What was the most successful Ferrari road car of all time?
in terms of what? Sales?
Nigel.
Yes.
The 430.
Oh, it's close. It was the one before the 430.
Oh.
488?
Nigel.
No, that's the one after the 430.
360.
Yes, it's the 360.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It goes 355, 355, 360, 430, 458, and then 488.
Yeah.
I think is that what they're on now? I don't know. Now I can write down Nigel's name on the score sheet. One.
What's your favourite Ferrari car?
I haven't driven any.
The old California.
California,
Oh yeah, that's nice.
I like the 599 GTO.
Oh yeah, GTOs. they're, I mean, honestly, if you got to get insured just to stand a foot away from a GTO. I do like the old Le Mans winning Ferraris. I thought they were beautiful cars, but that's a race car, not a road car, is it? I don't know.
Speaking of Le Mans, that's this weekend, but I'm not looking forward to it.
That's an interesting opinion.
Yeah, next question.
Why aren't you looking forward to Le Mans?
Why am I not looking? This is the least I'm looking forward to it. Mainly because
it's
there's
in
only
September.
That and because it's only Rebellion and Toyota, and then there's only 3 manufacturers in the GT class. But yeah,
there's Bicoles. Famously, Bicoles always retire from Le Mans.
They've got a fun livery though.
They do. It's like ooh.
It's like the Honda blue and green livery, isn't it?
I think you're right, Nigel. It is a bit like LMP2 seems a bit weird this year. GTE Pro seems a bit lacking. They don't know BMW, so we don't have the
no Corvette, no Ford.
That. We've only got Aston, Ferrari, and Porsche.
And even in the AM class, it's the same. There's no. It's just M3 EM,
which is quite sad. But it's still one of the greatest races of all time, so I'm still going to watch a bit of it. I can't watch it all because it's a 24-hour race. So, question 8. Can anyone guess the question?
Yes.
Is that question 8?
No, it's not.
Question 8 that we have to guess what question 8 is.
That's the tiebreak. 110 drivers have raced in F1 for Ferrari. How many have won Grand Prix? Adam?
15.
Okay, Nigel. We'll do closest wins.
16.
Nigel wins. Ferrari corporates is 38.
38?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Can you name them all for a bonus? No.
Can you? I'll give you a bonus point.
No, I can't. 38. We're going to lose even more viewers than we normally have.
Well, okay. There's 2 more questions for Nigel to bring it back, and then maybe we'll do a bonus point to make it gimmicky. How many drivers have world titles? How many drivers' titles have been won by the Ferrari? So say you've got 16 constructors.
I'm just counting now.
Adam.
Yeah.
13.
No. Sorry, that was quite aggressive. Nigel.
15.
It's 15.
Yeah.
It's getting close, guys. Nigel's pride is coming back. Clearly, the order of these questions has really been in Adam's favour. This is a weird question. Ferrari celebrated their 1,000th race in F1, obviously in Mugello last weekend, and they scored 5 points. But how many did they score in their 900th race?
I know which race it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know what a Ferrari were. I know which race it is though.
800th race, but that's not really very helpful.
They didn't score 800 points either. Someone say a name.
Hang on.
Or I'll pick on
Nigel.
Nigel.
I believe they did not score many because I think there was 7th and 8th. So then
This isn't your working out time.
Yes, it is. 4 and 6 is 8 points.
It's wrong.
Oh.
Adam.
10.
Oh, Nigel's closer. I'll give him the point. It was 6 points.
Fair enough.
It was the Belgian Grand Prix in 2015 where Sebastian Vettel's tyre blew at the top of Eau Rouge.
I thought it was Bahrain 2014. Never mind.
Oh.
Wrong race.
The 800 was at Hockenheim, kind of 2010, 11, 12-ish.
If it was 2010, that would be exciting.
I don't think it was that one. It didn't go very well for them, basically.
Yeah. Mathematically, it makes sense to be 2010.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just remember it not going well for them.
So there we have the final results. Adam is on 5 and Nigel is on 4.
That
in
was
that
strange,
remarkably
wasn't
close
it?
quiz.
Quiz of 2 halves.
Do you want to know what the tiebreak question was?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who can name the most ingredients that goes in an arrabbiata?
Adam. Pasta. Chopped
What pasta?
tomato. Penne.
Yeah.
Chopped tomatoes.
Yeah.
Oil. Onions. Garlic.
No onions, but yeah.
No onions.
No, it's Italian.
Chorizo.
Bit of seasoning in it.
No chorizo.
No. Pepper. Mushroom. I'm just saying ingredients now.
You got there. All you need to say was chili flakes.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Because it's a spicy dish.
Yeah, that's why I said chorizo, because I knew it was spicy.
So Adam just got 5 more points. And it's now on 10 in that 10 question quiz. So well done, Adam, to your victory. Commiserations to Nigel from everyone here at the Winging It F1 podcast. Thank you, everybody. It's okay, Adam. Cheers for coming and watching the podcast or listening wherever you are. I'm Freddie Coates. That's Adam Dickinson and Nigel Chu as well. Say goodbye, boys.
Bye.
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 We'll see you next week.